Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life.
All right, Hats.
Brendo, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, we've just finished another one, and we're going again. We're doing two.
Yeah, this is the second week in a row. I don't mind this format.
We can do four. I don't care. I'm just going to listen. But we have a guest.
We do have a guest. Who do we have, Hats?
We've got Sampo, Bitcoin Sampo.
How you going, Sampo?
Hi guys, I'm doing fine. How are you?
We're pretty well. Now, we just did say off air before that this is the first pod that we've done where we can't actually see the guest. So obviously you're off for doxy kind of privacy reasons, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is that Hats and I are just going to have to look at each other.
Yeah, that is unfortunate.
So yeah, thanks for that.
I was just
No problem.
before we came on, Brenda was giving me a hard time for tweeting too much, and so I just thought, I'm going to have a look at how many times Sampo's tweeted. 39,300 tweets. There's my first question. Are they all about Bitcoin? I didn't go all the way back through, but are they all Bitcoin, or have you got another life outside of Bitcoin?
I think it's like 95% about Bitcoin and 5% about human rights.
Awesome.
And
the other thing I've noticed is that you're following 10.2k people and you have 10.2k followers. Is that?
Oh, there you go.
Is that just a coincidence?
Well, I've tried to keep it even to, I don't know, kind of symbolize equality or something. I don't want to come out as a douchebag who doesn't follow anyone. So it's kind of like 50-50.
Okay, so now I immediately don't feel that special because you follow me. So
but I always thought it was because ultimately you're there to, well, hopefully all of us are there to listen more than we talk, although talking is important. But
yeah,
I always thought that I wanted to keep the numbers down, my follow numbers down, just because the people I follow, just because I wanted to still I follow people because I want to see what they say, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
But you just then, if you follow too many, you start to lose stuff.
How do you actually manage that? Because I've actually trimmed mine down, so I'm under 200. I follow under 200 people. But how do you manage that many tweets in your feed?
When you follow that many accounts, I think the algorithm kind of decides what to show to you, and it's based on your likes. So either way, you see most of the tweets by people that you like anyway. So
yeah, cool.
I haven't thought of that as a problem, but I don't know. Maybe I should trim it a bit.
I don't know if there's a right and a wrong. It's just a different way, isn't it?
Yeah. There's actually something really intimidating about your voice too, Sampo. You sound like an assassin.
Well, who knows?
I'm going to try not to piss you off tonight.
He's
yeah.
Well. Also, bear in mind. Sorry, mate. Go on.
Yeah, it might be the very level intonation of the Finnish English accent. We don't really go up and down. We're really even with the Finnish tone. So
yeah, wow.
And bear in mind, he's speaking in a second language.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So I'll just tell that story briefly. So when we had, I don't even know how this came about, but we were having a tweet exchange, and probably me saying you should come on a pod and talk about it, and you kindly said that you would, but there was things you didn't want to do, doxies type stuff that you weren't keen on, and maybe some topics that you didn't think were your things, and then you sent me a link to another podcast that you'd been on, and I was like, oh well, I haven't listened to that. I'll go listen to that. I went to listen to it, and it was in Finnish, and I'm like, oh, right, okay, that's me stuff, because we assume, and people who speak English as their first language, we just assume. We do this wrongly that everybody speaks English in this, or they're from an English-speaking country.
Arrogantly.
Definitely arrogantly. So
yeah,
already you're probably more understandable than the Scottish guy. So Scandinavians tend to be very, very bilingual or trilingual. That's pretty fair, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say so. Most Finnish people speak English and Swedish as well.
Oh, right, okay.
So yeah, 3 languages here.
I haven't been to Finland. I have been to Sweden, and I remember I was staying with a family, and they asked me if I wanted. It was a long time ago. They asked me if I wanted to go see the movie Seven at the movies, and I said, "No, it's in. I can't understand Swedish. Like, why would I do that?" And they said, "No, it's in English, and we get the subtitles." Crazy, right?
Really?
So weird. Yes. How much do we push ourselves on the world? It's wrong. But it was, I mean, I appreciated it at the time.
Oh,
but
yeah,
like, it was a good movie. But
All right. Well, do you want to tell us a little bit about your background, as much as you are comfortable to do, and your intro to Bitcoin?
Well, my background in general, I'm an English teacher by profession, but now I'm working as a translator. So doing Finnish to English and English to Finnish translations with a small business that I run with two of my colleagues. And I first found out about Bitcoin, I think, as early as 2011 or something, from a Finnish IT magazine. But back then I thought it was a full-on scam or something. And then came across it again in like 2013, but then again just dismissed it as some like nonsense. But then back at the top of 2017 with the 20,000 bubble, I kind of got interested again, and then went onto my shameful shitcoinery path. And maybe in 2018 I finally discovered the beauty of Bitcoin. So I've been into Bitcoin only for the last 3 years or so.
So, and what was it for you that kind of that clicked? What was it that made you go, whoa, hang on, this is it, Bitcoin is it?
I don't know, maybe trial and error, because I bought into a lot of the shitcoin hype. Like, for example, the XRP is gonna be a ledger between international banks, all that kind of bullshit. And then I realized, okay, that's just marketing buzz that isn't true. And then I studied more, and maybe for me it was the Bitcoin Standard book that finally sold the idea to me, and kind of showed me why it's special and unique compared to all the other coins.
Sure.
It seems to me that there's quite a lot of people, and probably I'd be in this group as well, who were somewhat involved in 17, probably thought we were all quite clever with run-ups, and then obviously, you know, get the post-17, the early 18 crash, and then but the ones that are still around now seem to be the ones that put in the work. Like they saw the value of their investment go down, and then they decided to, okay, well, I need to understand this now because I've clearly got something wrong. But they didn't sell. They went and did the work. You know, they started, you know, educating themselves. Is that ring any bells for you, or?
Yeah, definitely. Like, was it early 2000? No, I think it was 2019. The crash to 3,500. Was it 2019? Maybe.
Yeah, when it was sliding, I lose track. But yeah, I remember watching. Do you think in US dollars? Is that in terms of price? Yeah.
Well, when I started, so February 2020 for me, March hit 2020, and it went down. I remember AUD was like 8K.
Yeah, so it must have been about 5. So, but yes,
4 or 5.
What Sampo's talking about is we kind of watched this. So I used to think in US dollars, and I kind of don't now. I try and think in Australian dollars because it's where I live. Or, well, if I think in dollars at all, but or current, you know, fiat at all. But but there was that run up in 17 where we went to like 18,000 US, and then there was basically a death by 1,000 cuts all the way down to about 3.
Yeah.
So that was prior. That was prior to, and that was the point for me. I was thinking. I was so confident, and I was so sure of myself, and I'm thinking, why am I wrong?
Even at 3, you were like,
well, I was still still confident. But I'm like thinking, well, I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I thought I was right, but I'm like, well, clearly I'm not right. So so I went and started trying to find more information to try and learn.
Yeah.
Where I didn't just dump it and go, oh, okay, I got it wrong. I went and learned, and I think there's a whole bunch of Bitcoiners now, who are sort of in that boat too, and they went and did the work. and it was harder back then, Sample, wasn't it? Like, how did you do the work? Like, who were you looking to for information back then?
I had to admit that some of the YouTubers back then, I was following Alessio Rastani or something, and the Moon guy, the Carl the Moon guy, this weird Swedish young dude who says every other day that Bitcoin is going up and every other day that it's going down. So that's basically his trend, making those amazed faces to the preview image, like his mouth open with an amazed facial expression on his face. And nowadays I think he's mostly a scammer, but back then I used to kind of respect his TA. So I used to rely on his analysis, and then I started doing some of my own, but I realized I don't know shit about it, so then I just quit basically following the price short term, and I just checked the price chart. So the biggest dip was in March 2020, so that's when
and I was there for that.
Yeah, you were. It was your first tank. That's
yeah.
Yeah, so it went to 3.5k in dollars.
God,
yeah, it dropped like minus 50% in one day. Yeah, so that's my kind of trial of fire when I realized that now it's now I hold it forever, kinda, or sell it now, and I didn't sell it.
So if you and I are sort of similar in timescales, that one didn't concern me at all. Maybe saying not at all is maybe trying to exaggerate it too much, but like
I feel that's fairly accurate, because then obviously when I started, you were like, I wasn't phased at that point.
No. So, but
to me you weren't anyway.
Yeah, well, no, maybe I was trying to convince myself, but no, I didn't. That one didn't phase me so much, because you could see the COVID stuff, you could see what the market was doing, you could see why people were running to what they consider to be safe assets, and that's why the dollar basically, and that's why the price. I wasn't concerned about that, and I thought I obviously had no idea what COVID was or what COVID was the impact was going to be, but I thought it was going to bounce, and it did bounce. I was much more concerned about the one prior to that, but probably because I didn't know so much. I hadn't put in the work yet.
Now
that I'm checking Sorry, mate, please.
Yeah, now that I'm checking the price chart, it might have been the November 2018 dip that really got me. Like, my stomach started churning, and I was like, what the hell have I gotten myself into? Because later in 2020 it dropped to like 3,500 or 4,000 as well, but like you said, I think I wasn't that worried in 2020 anymore, because that March dip in 2020 was in correlation with the COVID news in the regular stock exchange. So that time I wasn't too concerned either. So I think I finally kind of understood Bitcoin somewhere in 2019 or even 18, after that first real big dip, because then you kind of have to put on the time to understand what you've gotten yourself into and what you've invested in, like for real, since it dipped minus 50% in one day or so. So you're like, am I a complete loony, or is this just something that you have to get yourself used to, or like something like that?
And sorry, go on. You something?
Oh, it's left of field. Well, so you. All
I was going to say was, so where would you see yourself now in terms of, like being personally on a Bitcoin standard? Don't talk about your holdings or whatnot. But do you live off Bitcoin, or do you spend Bitcoin? Are you still accumulating Bitcoin? Are you just a massive hodler? What do you see yourself as just now?
I'm kind of even over invested. Like, last year I used to earn a pretty good salary, or like a decent salary, so I was able to invest into Bitcoin, or like move money into my savings account, as I'd like to say. But this year it's been more quiet on the work front. So now my expenses, like my apartment, car, of course, daily utilities like food and stuff. Uh, I'm ashamed to admit it, but now I've even had to sell some of my stack. Like I'm trying to make ends meet right now, but it's really tough right now for me personally. So
Are
now
you?
I'm
Are you oh.
kind of trying to keep my stack as it is, but I'm not stacking right now.
Do you have access to like services like Bit Refill or anything like that?
That side is really limited in Finland. I think we could use Bit Refill, but I haven't looked into it really, because in Finland the taxation is really dumb. We'd actually have to pay taxes every time we use Bitcoin, even when we use it.
Okay.
So that kind of limits it a lot. So for me, it's mostly like a savings account.
Yeah, it's much the same, from a tax perspective. I mean, I'm no tax expert, but it's much the same. I look at it that way in Australia. I think if you are buying Bitcoin and you're disposing of it quickly, and you're using it to spend on maybe like your supermarket shopping or something, they're not looking for you to declare that, because you're not making any sort of significant capital gain. But if you've held for any significant amount of time, and then you're disposing of it to whatever it is that you require, they obviously are. So yeah, it's an administrative disaster. But I mean the tax law is just so not fit for purpose.
Yeah.
But that's probably always been the case even before Bitcoin. So it's it's just trying to navigate that is very difficult. And then you get into I don't know if you have the same thing, but we have you got like a first in first out rule, or last in last out rule with just investments in general.
Can I now know what that is? Can you explain
that for people? So I'll explain it as best I can. So if you buy in Bitcoin continually from the beginning of 2017 to the end of 2017, and then you decide to sell some today, you have to take a stance on which ones you're selling. So are you selling are you selling your first coins first, or are you selling your last coins first? And then when you make that decision, you have to stick with the decision you've made, or have a very good or justifiable reason for why you changed that decision. That's how I understand it. As I say, not a tax expert, but that's how I look at it. But the other problem is, if you hold investments for a period of, I think, 12 months, you can get a discount on capital gains tax, blah, blah. So people have an individual decision to make if they're going to be disposing of Bitcoin. And really, the short answer is, if you're able to not dispose of your Bitcoin, just don't do it until the tax law is sort of fit for purpose. But obviously, if you pick a big chunk of your wealth into Bitcoin and then work dries up, everybody's going to have to sell some. And I don't think badly of anybody who does.
Yes.
And that's that's what it's there for. It's your savings account. So I suppose there's a question for you then, Sample. When did the mentality go from it's an investment to a savings account? Or what was it that made that change for you?
Maybe this last run up to the new all-time highs around $60,000.
Yep.
That's when I realized that the dollar value is a short-time preference, and the amount of sats that you have is the actual kind of like score that you're aiming for to get it as high as possible. So each sat counts and each stack counts.
Yeah. Okay, I got a question.
Go for it.
At what point did you become kind of docs conscious?
I've been docs conscious even before Bitcoin, like way before. When I joined Facebook in 2008 or something, and then all these new user, how do you call it, the terms of service came into practice in like 2012, and they started telling people that they basically own all the pictures that people upload there, and there were news that they keep all that discussion, all the messages in their big cloud platforms or servers or something like that. Back then, I kind of decided that I don't want to sell my face to the big tech companies, and ever since I've been really like self-aware of having my pictures online and even having my real identity online, since I think it's only gonna get worse with all these fake videos and image editing software. So
So
I
have
kind
you,
of wanna own my face, so
yeah,
to speak.
well, and that's a fair desire. Have you always been fairly privacy conscious, or was there some kind of catalyst moment for you where, or was it the Facebook thing where you went, holy fuck, hang on, this is no good, or?
Yeah, I think it was the Facebook thing, like when they started changing the user terms of service, and it came, uh, or it was obvious that they kind of want to own all the image copyright and all the rights to the images, and basically use the faces of the people in the images to train their algorithms and facial recognition stuff and things like that. I just thought that I don't want to have my face as a part of all that. So yeah.
So did sorry, mate. One more. Did you find that difficult, say, among your own kind of social groups and friends who are obviously jumping headfirst into that kind of thing and wondering why you weren't?
Well, back in like up until 2016 or so, I used to use social media quite actively, like even Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. But after that, it's been mostly like I still have a Facebook account, but the profile picture is taken from afar, so you don't see my face there. So I'm not like I'm not hiding from the camera, but I don't like to put my face on the spotlight, so to speak. So I still use, like, for example, Tinder, which is a privacy nightmare, of course, but I have my face pic there, of course. So it's kind of pick and choose where I want to use my face, but I don't want to combine this Bitcoin thing with my real persona or my face. So I like to keep them separate.
And are you friends and your family aware of who you are? They're like, if you got an account.
No.
All right, you just don't, so you just okay. So I mean, I'm Scottish and living in Australia. So the reason, and I still have a Facebook account. So I'm going to be booed out of the room, and rightly so. But the hard thing for me is, a lot of my friends and family are still in another country, a long way away, and I don't see them regularly. And it is a good way to keep in contact and feel like you're still part of a lifestyle that you're no longer living in. So for me, that's why I keep it. I don't really use it very much.
That's how they get and keep.
Well,
people.
Absolutely, and even things like sending you a memory from 11 years ago, and that does tug at your heartstrings or whatever, and you're like, oh wow, that was a good day or whatever. Yeah. And it's clever. It's the same people that design fruit machines. So that's the whole point of it, is just to keep you there.
In Australia, they're called poker machines. I'm guessing. Yeah. Fruit machines. Is that what you call them over there?
Yeah. What do you call them, Sampo? You call them something? Gambling machines? Do you have them in Finland?
Yeah, gambling machines we have this whole thing. It's a government operated thing. They own all the slot machines that we have in the supermarkets. So I don't know, we would call them Veikkaus machines, which is directly translated guessing machines. But the company is called Veikkaus, which is guess. So
yeah, right. You have them in the supermarket?
Yeah, it's a weird thing.
Wow.
We support the disabled and the pensioners through this kind of gambling, government-owned gambling monopoly. It's a weird thing.
No, okay, so that's what they say. Is that actually what happens? Is that money ring-fenced for that purpose?
Yeah, it is. But there's a lot of speculation about the money not being used effectively. Mm-hmm. But it's one of the examples of how socialist Finland actually is.
So you live in quite a high tax culture, right? and generally,
Yeah.
people are quite agreeable to that. Is my impression? I could be wrong, but like Scandinavia in general, here's my impression, okay, and please tell me where I'm wrong. That Scandinavia generally is highly taxed, but they have good services, good schools, good transport, good and people live a high quality of life. That's a generalization, clearly. How am I wrong?
Yeah. I'd agree. Like, there's nothing wrong with that statement. I'd agree.
And
100%.
so, how do you feel about that? How does that make? Do you like that side of it, or like how does that fit with Bitcoin?
It makes me a weird hybrid of kind of agreeing with some government intervention, but then again trying to avoid it as much as possible, but seeing the pros of intervention sometimes, because it kind of destroys possible monopolies or cartels, or like even corporate stuff. My personal opinion is that maybe even the US big tech companies should be split up into smaller businesses, although that's government intervention, of course. But like right now, I think they have too big of a power when it comes to, for example, if you use Google, it basically decides what you get to read. So that's kind of fucked up from a privacy and from a freedom perspective, because people should be able to decide what they want to read. But I don't know if intervention should be the right way, but some kind of limitations on how they control the market. So it kind of makes me, I don't know, social liberal, maybe.
Yeah.
More on the liberal side, but it definitely shows that I'm from a social democratic country.
Yeah, as somebody from Scotland, I feel sort of similar to that, but and also as somebody who worked in government for sort of 10, 12 years, I've sort of working around. I cannot. It's very difficult to get away from zero government. I struggle with that whole idea. I think I believe in small government. But I don't fully understand what that transition is going to be like, or how we can get there. I mean, I know some of the libertarians are, some of their ideas I can from a common sense.
Are we talking about the Citadel kind of idea of?
Yeah, well, all sorts of ideas like I can from a common sense angle. I'm like fully on board. I just don't understand practically how that would operate, and I'm not meaning on my roads type, but like some of the practicalities are it's complicated. I don't fully understand how we reorganize to do that. I mean, it's just maybe it's more learning I have to do. I don't know. But
well, it's got to be an entire dismantlement. Is that a word? Or dismantling of the whole system.
Yeah, because there's no. Put it this way,
that's not going to happen without conflict.
No, well, neither left or right are voting for or proposing less power for themselves.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
That's
So
Twitter week.
So I mean that's, and so how do we move away? How do we get to a point of less control? And like getting to the, I love this idea of like your government being your service provider, and governments competing with each other to become the best service provider to their citizens. And maybe the Scandinavian model is a good model. Maybe they are a good. Maybe that is a good. Is that offensive if I say Scandinavian, or is it better if I say Finnish? Like just clumping you all together?
Yeah, either way is fine. I don't mind. Yeah.
You're so agreeable for an assassin.
But all assassins bring you in there.
Yeah, that's what they say. They're nice people, and then they stab you or whatever.
How many people have you killed?
21 million.
Yeah.
That's a number that comes to my mind from somewhere.
Nice. I would have said 6.15. Which is 6
Yeah.
guys on one leg.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
So what has been the catalyst for your you work? Is it you work's dried up because of COVID, or the business has moved on or something like that? Like what?
It's a small business, so we're working as a subcontractor mostly.
Mhm.
So it's most of the projects aren't kind of in our hands. They come to us through several contracts. So we're kind of bottom feeders, so to speak.
Yeah.
When it comes to that. So last summer we had a few really big projects, but right now we don't have any. We only have like these small updates to the same projects. So now the work has dried up basically because of slower demand, and the projects are gaming related. So games are usually launched to the Christmas market. So hopefully it'll just start, like we'll get more work when the year proceeds, but let's see.
Yeah.
Gaming. Is there any Bitcoin relationship in there, or
No, it's AAA, like
okay?
some of the biggest games translated into Finnish.
Oh, now you're talking my language.
Brendo just perked up. That's good.
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh no, I'll just. I guess you can't tell me any games, can you?
No.
Damn it.
I shouldn't be saying no. Sorry.
Kind of against our NDA, unfortunately.
So
Cyberpunk. Is it Cyberpunk?
No.
All right.
So, how do you feel about people like Thunder Games and things like the people that are integrating Lightning into gaming? What do you feel about that?
Light Night. Should we go to Light Night?
Yeah, Light Night.
Yeah. I've been playing some of the games. Like a year ago, I was really active with Zebedee. I was playing their games. They've integrated sats onto Counter-Strike, CSGO.
Yeah.
CSGO.
Yeah.
So can you explain how that works to people just who don't know about that?
Yeah, so you go to zebedee.io, I think that's their website, and you download their plugin, or kind of like an add-on app to your computer that you log into with your Zebedee account that you can create, and then it integrates with your Steam account, which is this gaming platform by Valve, gaming company, that CSGO runs on. So you start the Zebedee add-on and it integrates with CSGO, and you join one of their custom servers, and then you get this layout on top of your CSGO that shows your current sats at the top right of the window, and then you start playing. And it depends on the game mode that either you get sats from each kill or you get sats when your team wins. And after the game, you just withdraw them from there through the Lightning Network.
What's Zebedee's business model there? How are they? Have they got advertising revenue, or like how are they actually making anything out of doing that?
I think it's ad revenue and also sponsorships. Like Bitstamp used to sponsor them a lot last year, so they sponsored most of the tournaments.
Yeah.
So somebody could go on. Somebody could go on and play the game, put up 0 sats themselves, and win sats. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Or is
at least for the sponsored events.
Yes, but is it also the case where somebody who's like really good at CS:GO, isn't it? Somebody who's really good at it could go on and actually put up their own sats as part of a prize pot and then play for a prize pot. Does that happen too, or not?
Yeah, it does happen.
Okay.
But
like
I haven't personally.
Yeah, as in I'll put up 1,000 sats.
Like a buy-in at a poker game, right? So there's 5 of you in the tin. You all chuck in $50, and at the end of the night, the guy who wins the poker takes the sats. Or yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So that already happens on CS. I'm not a gamer. Not really. Not any. Well,
no,
you're
definitely not. Is it only CS:GO? Are there other ones?
I think they've been talking about integrating sats into Valorant as well, but I haven't personally tried that, and I'm not sure if they've launched launched it already. So
I just need Microsoft. I just need Microsoft to do something. I play
Yeah.
Xbox.
But Microsoft are going to be the last, surely, are they not?
Don't know.
Then you might know some of the games that we translated, not going
Oh, there
into
you
too
go.
much detail. Yeah,
You can tell me off air, maybe.
maybe.
Halo.
So, because what I like about that, and the idea of that is, like, if you were to play, I don't know, what do you play?
Xbox.
Or about game? Give me a game.
Well, I just finished
One game.
Halo,
One game, right?
Cyberpunk,
Halo, okay, Halo. Right, Halo.
Apex Legends.
So what do you? What can you? It's called Halo, right?
Yeah.
What do you play on Halo? What do you play? Do you put? You don't pay any money to that. You pay for that. How does that work? You pay for the game and you own the game.
Yeah, it's different models now. So like Netflix, there's a subscription-based model called Game Pass on Xbox or Game Pass Ultimate. So you pay whatever it is here,
Monthly subscription.
$16 a month, and I get access to 100 games,
Yep.
which can cycle. So they've got their core first-party titles,
Yep.
generally, and they can cycle ones like Netflix. Or you can just buy a disc from a shop, or I can buy a digital copy online.
Okay,
And then I play.
right. So you're playing Halo, and you're playing for like a
Nothing.
score,
Yeah.
or like
yeah.
or like like a skin, or what?
Well, in Xbox
You can
land,
upgrade.
Yeah,
I'm guessing.
yeah, totally. There's achievements, but yeah, you can, like Fortnite, whatever. You basically unlock a skin or a gun or whatever. So it's a whole reward based thing, not just from completing.
But
a game.
it stays within the wall garden of Halo.
Exactly.
So let's say you become really good at Halo.
Never going to happen, but yes.
Okay, but let's say somebody did. Let's say Sampo did, right? And he became really good at Halo. You could never. It's almost like you're stuck. You can't. Can you even bring it from Halo 2021 to Halo 2022?
I don't even know what you are asking. What do you mean? Oh, you mean
Like, do they not release a new one every?
Yeah. It's how do you? There's some backwards compatibility things. Generally, if you have a new game, it's a new game.
Yeah.
They'll bring old maps back. I can't play. Oh, correct me if I'm wrong, Sambo, but I can't play Halo Infinite online with someone who's playing, I don't know, Halo.
No, my
2,
point is, if
but-
you get really good at Halo 2021, right, or whatever it was called in 2021.
He almost tried to call himself a gamer, by
Sorry,
the way.
mate. Sorry. Okay. Let's But my point is, you can't. It's not like you can't bring it between games. You can't even bring it from the same game. Is that true, Sampo?
Well, Halo games aren't launched annually like this latest
FIFA.
latest launch, Halo Infinite.
Yep.
The previous version came out, I think, 3 or 5 years ago, and it's a completely separate game, so those aren't interoperable. But basically, the mechanics are the same. So if you're good at Halo first, then most likely you're gonna be good at all the other Halos.
But you would start from scratch again.
Well, basically, yeah, the whole game engine has been updated, the graphics have been updated, and the whole movement, shooting things are a bit different in each version.
So people upgrade because the game is better.
Is it?
They don't
Yeah.
upgrade. They don't upgrade because.
Or it's a completely different game,
Yeah,
but with the same clothing, so to speak, or the same basics, same appearance and stuff like that.
Mass Effect, I don't know if you know Mass Effect, but as an example, Mass Effect 1 and 2 were very similar, and then Mass Effect 3 came out, and that whole mechanic was very different, but it's still under the same umbrella. It still looks the same as far as the characters, the story, and whatever else, but ultimately it's a different game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're talking about FIFA, all they do is put a different number on the end, and that's it. They update the graphics.
Yeah, and they change Ronaldo for Messi or something,
different
or whatever.
players, and they charge you the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but so that my point is, I'm trying to get to is that you can't get good to the point where you can extract any value and transfer that value anywhere else. So if you integrate Lightning or Bitcoin into that, essentially, let's say you get good at Halo or Mass Effect or FIFA, it doesn't matter. You could, earn 10,000 sats or 100,000
exactly.
sats, and then take those 100,000 sats and go spend them in, FIFA 2022.
Yeah, so you're talking about in-game currencies, basically. So and
because it's their goal to keep you in their walled garden, right?
yeah, oh, entirely.
So that's
They don't want you spending or giving you anything that you can go and use somewhere else.
How do you look at that from a professional point of view, Sample? In terms of you're trying to get gamers and keep them, or are you trying to do you work with other, studios that, or how does that work? I don't even know I don't know how that works.
I'm not actually in the gaming industry. I'm a service provider for the industry, like a translator.
Oh God,
so I don't know much about the actual revenue models of gaming companies, but I'd like to add that sats is, from my personal perspective, they are potentially a good way for, let's say, casual players who are a bit better than the average player to earn some extra sats or to earn some extra money. Like, for example, in CSGO, they do have these professional tournaments where the prize pool can be as high as like $2 million, actual US dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So gaming is a really professional industry already, but it only pays for the, let's say, top 0.1% of the players. So for the rest, for the top 50%, I'd say that sats would be a really good revenue model or a way to earn extra, extra income to spend in game or even spend on new games or even withdraw from there if you want it.
So that or OnlyFans.
Yeah, it seems so these days.
That'll be next. OnlyFans, something like that. Like
OnlySats.
OnlySats.com.
We don't own that one.
But isn't that the whole thing? The porn industry was always the driver of innovation and technology. Or sorry, the early adopter of innovation and technology. So you wait for OnlyFans to have lightning tipping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll call it now.
I bet there's a model doing it somewhere. She's putting up a QR code
probably,
on the screen.
No doubt.
And yeah.
Let's do an OnlyFans account.
No, let's not. You do one, and I'll help you promote it. So you only get involved once a game goes big because they need it translated into other languages, or how does that work?
When they launch a new game, they send us the pre-launch version, basically as an Excel table format. So you got the source string and then you got the target string where you have to write in the translation of each sentence or each block of information, basically. So all the menus, all the weapons, all the subtitles, we translate all of that. So
there's got to be an element of trust there, I guess, from the game maker, I suppose, to hand that product over to you. Are you tempted just to start putting in buy Bitcoin subliminally?
He's tempted, but he'll never get another contract.
Well, they're not going to know.
I haven't thought about that, but maybe I should.
When they talk about a currency, just go. They talk about Bitcoin.
Yeah. I'll keep that in mind for future reference.
How much product placement advertising do you get within games?
Heaps.
Give me an example of what you see.
So,
I wouldn't say that much. I think at least these bigger companies, they are really self-aware and maybe they advertise their own games, and they definitely do, especially when it's an online game and they have all these gaming platforms. Those are full of their own game ads, like games for their other releases, but I wouldn't say that there are product placements in games. I can't recall any, actually.
Well, I mean, I'd argue that's still product placement. So I remember years ago, there was a Rainbow Six game that you would run through a hotel or an office building or whatever, and they had, graphical depictions of an ad or a poster or something up on Times Square,
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I was just thinking.
Yeah, and they talked about. I remember this being a big thing because, like, saying, "Oh, Rainbow." I'm sure it was Rainbow Six, where they said, you know, this game was putting up ads, and they were swapping them out, so multiplayer and whatever else, and they put up an ad for something, and then there was a discussion around, well, this is another potential revenue stream for these companies. That said, as Sampo was saying, I think they did just. I don't remember the company that did Rainbow Six. You probably do, Sampo, but they were again,
sure.
just pushing their own thing. Like the next game that was coming out, you know, there was a poster for it, you know, just in the background, you run past it.
But surely if you play, like, I don't know, Formula 1, surely the car, they want the car to be identical to the Formula 1 advertised car this season? Is that?
Well, same as FIFA. Same as any sporting game.
Yeah, like, so Manchester United would have the Manchester United sponsor on a shirt or, you know, whatever.
And whether they're paying, the companies are paying, like EA or the game maker, I don't know.
No, I just...
Yeah, because in those situations, I think it's a direct contract between the companies and the, for example, F1, the whole ordeal. So it's different from the gaming company, but like actual games per se, let's say, for example, League of Legends, Dota 2, CSGO, Valorant, what have you, Rainbow Six, Rocket League. I don't think, well, actually, yeah, Rocket League, if you know the game where you drive with these rocket-propelled cars and try to score goals, basically football with cars, RC cars. They do have a car sponsorship there, I'm pretty sure. So they have actual car models.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. So yeah, there's some, but not much. I think gamers are kind of against it. So it's not used that much. Yeah. The whole gaming scene is actually surprisingly conservative when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, right. So they want it to be, actually players themselves want it to be less advertising in there, even if it would have advertising in the real world. Yeah,
I think so.
Huh.
Like gaming is escapism, so to speak. So people don't want to stare at Coca-Cola ads when they're gaming and stuff.
Yeah, and you can always see it from a mile off, particularly when you're gaming. Just like Sampa said, I suppose, because you are doing something as a leisure activity, I suppose. So why do you want that shoved in your face?
So you feel like you've paid your subscription, you feel like you've paid for the disc, you don't want anything else. You don't want to be advertised that. It's a bit like, you know, paying for a subscription to YouTube so that you don't get the adverts running pre-roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Got it. I wonder if people's opinions to that would change if they could actually earn in the game. But maybe you start to get a different type of a player. You're not getting a gamer. You're getting more of a person there for a job. You know.
Well, you have that anyway. So someone who loves gaming, who is actually either, even if they're streaming their gaming, that to them now is a job.
Like the Twitchers.
The Twitchers, and that's an income. Or the esports guys. You know what I mean? Like they I guess they're training, quote unquote. Like they'd be going hard and coordinating as a team. So that would be a job.
I read 4 or 5 years ago that the esports was like the 6th biggest sport in terms of finances in the world. And it probably has only grown since then.
Yeah.
And you know, like I know Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester City have esport. I mean, probably loads of them do now, but have esports teams as well as, you know, football, soccer, sports. I just maybe I'm wrong. Like, I just thought if you can earn whatever get good at something, earn currency in it, and then transfer over to another ecosystem, even if that's from the same studio, that would be something people would like. But maybe
no. I think you're right. For sure, because people are used to V-Bucks and only being able to spend V-Bucks. But if you could earn V-Bucks and spend them anywhere, sats, spend them anywhere, that opens up so much. How that works from company to
company would be the hard thing.
I don't know,
because they don't want that to happen, right?
Yeah, but then it's a game theory thing too, I think.
But that's
at
just
some point.
But that's competition, right?
Yeah,
If it's not, then you just have to go and create the best game
and the cheaper skins. You know what I mean?
True.
Yeah.
True. But competition, like, if somebody comes along and does something better than you, like if you believe in meritocracy, then you also have to you still have to believe in it when somebody's better than you.
Fuck.
It's annoying, right?
Yeah.
But if you do, like, does that not just make us all strive to just be better at what we are than we currently are? And ultimately, does the customers of all of our things not become? They not win out of that massively because everything gets better all of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful ideal, but to provide a counter argument, there's a documentary on YouTube about this light bulb conspiracy or light bulb cartel, basically, where all the US light bulb manufacturers actually made their light bulbs worse, like mutually agreed to make their light bulbs worse because otherwise customers wouldn't buy them because they would last too long.
Yeah.
So it's
kind of cartel behavior, basically.
Yeah. It's a bit naive maybe to think that the businesses always support and follow natural competition. I think it's more about
then, Sampo, so that
mutual.
Gives me a big question. I think I've always worked under the assumption that game theory in Bitcoin is going to make everything okay. So, but is there a potential for
collusion
on a huge scale? Could that be coordinated in Bitcoin? Do you think, like, multiple governments getting together and making it very difficult for all of us?
Yeah, I think it's a real possibility, and there have been some talks about Bitcoin splitting up into KYC Bitcoin and non-KYC, which would mean basically that the aforementioned is basically the government, the legal Bitcoin, and the latter is the illegal Bitcoin, which would suck because that would go against all Bitcoin principles and the ethos. But I think it's a real possibility. Yeah, for sure.
So to combat that, what do we do to combat that? We
get both.
Or you start buying non-KYC, you start mixing, you start trading between friends. You know, what do we do?
I don't know. My personal opinion is that you should just treat it as cash money and basically not care that much. But I'm a bit too careless about that. Like, I do want to keep my privacy this way, but I'm not really tech savvy, so I'm not big into coin joining or coin mixing, or I'm basically a noob when it comes to stuff like that. But I support people who actually care about the privacy side, because that's one of the main arguments.
Yeah, it's gonna. I just think the more, I agree with you, and I'm probably similar in that sense too. I wouldn't consider myself any sort of tech expert, although I'm trying to do what I feel like I can do. But we just, my thing for people like us, I think it's potentially getting your Bitcoin from as many different sources as possible. Be that KYC, non-KYC, be it selling a service for Bitcoin, be it trading between your friends after you've had a meal, and learning to sort of manage that. You have to become a bit of an admin expert, because all of a sudden you've got 14 different wallets and 17 different accounts with different companies. But then once we've done that, start to spend it with other people who into different services, and then because the complexity of that becomes just, yes, okay, it's still KYC Bitcoin, but the complexity of it is, and yes, it can be followed, but it's, who's going to do the following?
I think it's already got to be a nightmare for the ATO, the tax office here.
It's a huge nightmare.
It's got to be a nightmare.
But if you're the poor schmuck that they decide to come after, it can be done, right? So if your opinion, then goes to the cannabis.
And that's the other thing, there's fewer schmucks, Bitcoin schmucks to pick from.
Right now there is, so it's in that sense. So but right now, if you're who were the guys who were, was it I think it was maybe Jeff Booth, Ben, and Greg, who were managing the keys with Tallycoin. I think that's right. And so
I knew about Greg, and I didn't know Jeff Booth was in that.
I maybe could be wrong.
Yep.
But and I think there's been movement since, and some it's now being spread out in different ways. But what they did, they stood up and were trying to help in a situation, but very quickly, and I'm talking within the space of a week, became a target. So I guess
From Bitcoiners, though.
What do you mean?
Well, I remember seeing one thread from a guy just going after Ben, saying, "What are you doing with it? You're holding onto it. Give it to them. Give it to them. You know,
you're not doing it the right way.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What do you
And
mean? So what do you mean?
No. What I meant was, like, when what are they calling it in Canada? The emergency measures. And they're saying, well, and also talking about cryptocurrencies, clearly talking about Bitcoin and Tallycoin. Tallycoin, yeah, that's what it's called. Well, all of us, if that's what they're decided to go after from a government level, well, who do you go after? You go after the three guys that are managing the keys, right? And so, I mean, you'd be hard pushed to find. Well, maybe Ben and Jeff. Greg's probably a bit more of a loose cannon, but like, you'd be hard pushed to find guys who were respected more in Canada and the Bitcoin community, maybe Francis or something, or John Vallis or something. But you'd be struggling. Whereas, and that becomes, in the space of a few days, the focus of the attack.
Yeah.
Like, so my point is, I mean, Sample. So there's a thing in Australia called, what's it called, the Freedom Convoy.
The Canberra one.
Yeah, is that what they call it? The Canberra?
I think so.
And same sort of, it's a similar thing. And people protesting in Canberra, and somebody, I don't remember who it was, put forward a list of maybe 10 names of people who maybe should look after this donations that come in for Australia. And our names were put forward. And I was like, and Brendo's name was put forward as somebody who was well known and trustworthy.
Yeah,
and I was like, Jesus, you've never heard of Brendo.
Yeah.
But
I had a good chuckle.
Yeah, well, clearly. I mean, I didn't think it should have been either of us, but then, like, we are still a small group. Like, we are early. So, and there are people I would put forward before us, but, like...
But I guess this comes back to the doxing thing too. So Sampo's obviously
he's worked it out, right?
Doing very well and very protecting his identity, whereas we're got our mugs on, or you don't, but I have. And we're talking about it and we're tweeting about it. I mean, Sampo, you're prolific on your tweets as well. But... something going back to the Ben thing or the Jeff Booth thing or the Greg thing, like we're standing up, but then as soon as somebody pokes their head up,
you need to stand up as a group.
Yeah,
that's it, isn't it?
And that's it. And
and how do you make people stand up as a group? Like, there's safety in numbers.
I think that's a part of the plebs together strong ethos. Like, we're all plebs and anonymous, or at least pseudonymous.
Yeah.
But as individuals with our face and identity, we might be weak, but when we combine our forces as this pleb army or taco army or whatever meme army, that's when the real power of the people comes out.
Because we saw it, you'd be well aware of the hodl and not stuff, right?
Yeah,
So, Brendo, you know about that?
He got banned.
He got involved.
He's the cat astronaut guy.
Yes, but he's the guy who's who. I mean, God, I don't know the story well enough myself, but Craig Wright went after him.
Oh, went after him, yeah.
But then all of a sudden, overnight, everybody had a hodl-a-not picture on their Twitter profile.
Oh, nice.
And we are all hodl-a-not, and I was like, so that's what you're talking about, Sample? Like, everybody, the sort of the pleb standing up. Now,
that's pretty cool.
It is cool, but I don't know where that situation is up to right now. But it went on for years, and it may not be finished yet.
Is he not back?
No, he's on Twitter and stuff. But he's like, he was pulled through the course and stuff. There are some good shows on that if you don't know about that story. But it's just, how do we coordinate that without being, I mean,
labeled terrorists?
Well, yeah, but also when you're the people who are advocating for decentralization, you're also advocating for all standing up together, right?
Yes.
And it's like,
and somebody coordinating.
Yeah. And somebody coordinating. Yeah. So how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And
I'm looking for the good answer.
Lately, I've been noticing some division among the Bitcoiners when it comes to all of these like vaccination stuff and the freedom convoy stuff. And maybe like I'm really anti-Russia because we live next to them and we acknowledge the threat that they have on us and the whole Europe. But a lot of Bitcoiners seem to be really pro-Russia and especially pro-Putin. So that's one of the issues that I do disagree with a lot of Bitcoiners. So I think it used to be more unified maybe 2 years ago or something, but I think that's just because of the whole scene, and Bitcoin Twitter has grown so much.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, it's gone from fringe to more.
Yeah, it's growing. It's growing all the time.
Yeah.
So as it grows, naturally you're getting a diversity of opinion, and people are going to disagree.
Yeah.
But quite honestly, like some of the thing I get out of Twitter the best is when two. That's a terrible way of saying it, but when two people who I respect their opinions, I don't necessarily agree with them always, but like I respect their opinions, they fundamentally disagree with each other, and I'm like, oh, popcorn time. Like I'm gonna watch this one because you know when it first starts, you don't really know what you think yourself, and you want to.
Well, yeah, I've seen a few of these, and I usually go, oh, I thought they were mates.
yeah, it's disappointing, it's sad.
Yeah.
But do you not think that's the best? That's the best when, because you must have been looking for, why am I wrong? The proper critique.
Just
what am I doing?
Front of the mic.
Oh, sorry. What you'd think I'd have learned after this amount of time, but anyway, I'm not good at it. Yeah, you're always looking for the good critique of Bitcoin, and the best people to provide any sort of critique of Bitcoin are the maxis, right? But yeah, I don't know. That's not particularly a question. It's just.
All right. Have you got anything else you want to add, mate, or do you want to tell us how people can find you?
Well,
do you want to be found?
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at Bitcoin Sampo, which is my handle. So simple as that. And when it comes to that previous point about Bitcoin Twitter and how we should basically unite, I think we should just unite behind the facts of Bitcoin, like the basic fundamentals that there are only 21 million, the new supply halves every 4 years, and a new block is mined approximately every 10 minutes. And those are the basic facts that we just have to agree with, and all the rest we can basically disagree with each other and discuss, but those are the basic fundamental monetary solid facts that make Bitcoin the unique network that it is.
Yeah, that's the certainty we all have to build from. I can't
That's
be that. Love it, mate. Thank you very much for taking the time. We appreciate you coming on in the morning in Finland. And
yeah, no problem.
And I hope you enjoy your coffee. We'll enjoy your wine. Yeah. And I look forward to some of your tweets. They are absolutely fantastic, mate. I love them.
Yeah, big time. And don't kill us.
Oh, you're true. Yeah, don't do that.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're a bit far from me, and it's really cold here right now. So I'm in my hibernation mode. Don't worry.
All right, mate. Cheers.
Love it, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, it was nice to be here.
Hey guys, if you've made it this far, thanks so much for listening. The plan with the pod is to do sort of guests one week and myself and Brendo the other week, so hopefully that's working for you. If you don't like one of them, just listen to the one you do like. If you want a little bit more information from us, you can find it at bitcoin-first.com/learn.